Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us for Sweat for Sanity, exploring the transformative impact of exercise and mental health. I'm Greg Berry, Director of Communications in the Office of Alumni Affairs. Since this is a virtual setting, please excuse issues that may pop up. If you have issues with your audio or video, click the reconnect button to get back to the webinar right away. As we begin, a question for our live audience. Which type of exercise do you find most effective for boosting your mood and reducing anxiety? We've got 4 answers to choose from. I guess a couple more. Aerobic exercises, things like running or cycling, strength training, mind-body exercises like yoga or Tai Chi, other activities, and then the other one is none. Maybe you don't do any exercising. We're going to go ahead and leave those questions up, that question rather, up for a few moments so you can submit the response that best reflects you. For today's attendees, this webinar is being recorded. Once it's uploaded onto our website, we'll send you an email with the replay link. We hope to get that up and going later today or first thing tomorrow. Today, we are pleased to welcome Emily Marszalek to our webinar series. Emily joined the UAB family earlier this year as the Employee Wellness Specialist. She earned her bachelor's degree in Human Development and Family Students from Mississippi State in 2019. Before we begin and turn things over to her, here are the results of today's poll. I'm going to go ahead and end that. 54% of our audience says aerobic exercises is the type of exercise that most affects their boosting of their mood or anxiety. It actually went straight down the list. Aerobic exercises, strength training, mind-body exercises, other, and nobody picked none. Now, I'd officially like to welcome Emily and turn things over to her. Thank you so much for being here this afternoon.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I want to welcome everyone as well. I'm very happy to be here. So today we are going to talk about how exercise can transform our mental health. And it is interesting on the poll that y'all chose aerobic activity, or the majority of y'all chose that as boosting your mood the most. There's actually a lot of science that goes behind that answer. We'll talk about it later as we go on. So I found that really, really interesting. So first, I want to give everyone a scenario. I saw the scenario on a TED Talk, and I'll give you that as a resource at the end. But I want everyone to imagine that there's a new groundbreaking medicine, and it's a single pill taken once a day, and it will make you live longer and a more happier and healthier life. Not only that, but this pill will make you stronger, profoundly increase your energy levels, your mood, your brain function, your concentration. In fact, this medicine would outperform every other medicine for improving overall markers of health, like your BMI, your blood pressure, things of that nature. Knowing this pill would probably be the most prescribed medicine on earth and the most valuable, and everyone would want to take it, right? You probably know where I'm going with this, but good news, this medicine already exists, and it's actually exercise. So exercise has all those benefits. And so I really like this scenario because it shows that if it was as easy as taking a single pill, everyone would want it. It would be the most valuable pill. But you can receive all these benefits naturally by just moving your body. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So here's a little overview. So we're going to talk about how exercise impacts mental health. We're going to talk about the types of exercise and their benefits, and then how to incorporate exercise into a busy schedule. So here's a statistic for you. I love statistics. Out of 1,158 studies examined, 89% of those studies found a statistically significant positive association between physical activity or exercise and mental health. And I thought that was an overwhelming statistic that I had to share with y'all because it shows that over 1,000 studies, it kept coming back that there is a positively significant association with physical activity and mental health. And so today we're going to break that down and we're going to figure out why that is, what chemicals go off in the brain when you exercise, how your brain function changes, and things of that nature. So the overarching question is, how are mental health and exercise related? We're going to break this down into 3 categories today. We're going to talk about the neurochemical effects, how it changes your brain function, and how it changes your self-esteem. So number 1, neurochemical effects. During exercise, these neurochemicals are released. I'm going to mention 5. There's definitely more, but these are the main ones that I found during my research for this presentation. So BDNF, and you can see what it stands for right below. I don't want to mispronounce anything. Exercise stimulates the production of BDNF, especially in the hippocampus, and that's the part of the brain that's responsible for your memory and your emotional regulation. So higher levels of this improve cognitive function, resilience to stress, and may protect against depression and neurodegenerative diseases such as Alzheimer's and dementia. Next, we have endorphins. I'm sure most of y'all are familiar with this one. So endorphins are released, and they are the brain's natural painkillers and mood elevators, often referred to as feel-good chemicals. Physical activity triggers the release of endorphins, reducing pain perception and inducing feelings of euphoria, known as runner's high. And this can help alleviate symptoms of depression and anxiety. So you might know someone who's a runner, and they say when they get stressed, they go for a run. And you might think that's crazy, but science shows that they actually do have a thing called runner's high, and that's that release of the endorphins and that feel-good chemical in the brain. And so that happens just by moving our body, just by exercising. Serotonin, this is another one that y'all might be familiar with. This neurochemical regulates mood, sleep, appetite, and overall emotional well-being. So regular activity increases the serotonin synthesis, so how your brain breaks down that serotonin, and availability in the brain, how much serotonin is available. And it promotes feelings of happiness and calmness while reducing stress and anxiety. And this is also the target for medications for anxiety and depression. So those who are on medication for anxiety, usually that pill has a lot to do with your serotonin, how much your brain emits serotonin, how your brain uses that serotonin. And you can get this naturally by exercising as well. So that can also help to benefit anxiety and depression symptoms and alleviate those. We have dopamine. So this is a central role in the brain's reward system, motivation, focus, and pleasure. Exercise boosts dopamine production and receptor sensitivity, enhancing motivation and reducing symptoms of depression. This increase can contribute to better focus, better mood, reduced cravings for addictive substances. So dopamine you get when you feel accomplished or you feel rewarded. A common way that people get dopamine in today's age is when they post something on social media and they get likes and they get comments, or they're scrolling through and there's a feel-good video. So your dopamine receptors, with all that's going on in today's world, they can become less sensitive, and so you don't feel that reward as easily. And exercise can help make those go back to normal. And you feel accomplished after you work out and everything like that. And so it's just very important to exercise in order to feel that accomplishment, because it's always good to feel like you were able to accomplish something. And then lastly, the one we're going to talk about is GABA. And this helps to reduce neuronal excitability. So that's like the neurons in the brain, those brain connections. They can become overstimulated very easily, especially with how busy today's society is. So this plays a key role in promoting relaxation and calmness and sleep, while also helping to regulate anxiety, stress, and mood. So exercise increases GABA activity, which in turn can reduce anxiety and help your mood and your sleep quality while helping your stress. And so this promotes feelings of calmness. If you are anxious and you're overstimulated, this chemical is released during exercise to help you get back to that calm feeling and help calm all that excitability that is going on in your brain. Next, we're going to talk about brain function. So this will be things like memory, stress. So not exactly chemicals that go off in your brain, but just how exercise can change how your brain functions on a day-to-day basis. So we're going to focus on these three things: neuroplasticity, stress reduction, and memory enhancement. And we're going to do a deep dive into each of these things. Number one is neuroplasticity. This is your brain's ability to change, adapt, and grow. So even as an adult, your brain can change, it can adapt and grow. You can always learn new things. It may become more difficult as you age, but exercise helps with your brain's ability to change. Your brain actually changes and adapts while you exercise and while you learn new exercise and become stronger and work different muscle groups. And so exercise strengthens the synaptic connections between neurons. So like I mentioned earlier, neurons are how your brain recognizes things, those connections in the brain between different things, how you learn new skills, things like that. And this allows the brain to adapt and respond to challenges more effectively. Exercise, particularly aerobic exercise, promotes the growth of new neurons in the hippocampus, a brain region critical for learning and memory. So I feel like when people think about exercise, they think mostly about how it changes their body, and they don't think that it's actually helping their brain to learn more and be able to change and adapt. So I thought that this was a really interesting point to pull up, and it's shown all across research that it really helps your hippocampus grow, and it helps form those connections in the brain, and it helps with it helps prevent the decline of cognitive energy and things of that nature. We're going to talk about stress reduction. So exercise reduces the levels of cortisol in the brain, which is a hormone released during stress by activating the parasympathetic nervous system. And exercise promotes better sleep quality, which lowers stress levels in return. And sleep restores body and brain functions disrupted by stress. We all know that if we don't get a good night's sleep, we're probably going to wake up more stressed or more agitated. And so it's very important to note that when you exercise, you're lowering that cortisol, you're feeling calmer. It's probably going to be easier for you to sleep at night. And in turn, that lowers your stress levels as well. And exercise can be a great coping mechanism for when you're stressed, just due to all those chemicals being released in the brain and that sense of accomplishment afterwards. And so that's something to keep in mind as well. And then finally, the last brain function we are going to talk about is memory enhancement. So when you exercise, you have improved blood flow to the brain. And so exercise increases this blood flow, delivering oxygen and nutrients necessary for brain function and memory retention. And then we've mentioned this a little bit earlier, but exercise helps delay or reduce the risk of cognitive conditions like dementia and Alzheimer's disease by maintaining brain health. And so that increased blood flow, that increased oxygen and nutrients to the brain is really beneficial. And you'll see this a lot in exercises that really get your heart moving and pumping, like those aerobic exercises that the majority of y'all mentioned really helps with your mood. And now we're going to talk about self-esteem. So when you exercise, your self-esteem and confidence increases. I feel like this is more well known than the other points that we have talked about. And your self-esteem and confidence increases due to these 3 points below. First of all is goal achievement. So setting and reaching fitness goals builds a sense of accomplishment and self-efficacy. So it's always important to be able to set goals and then follow through with them. So then you feel accomplished. We're going to talk a little bit about goal setting later on, but it's very important to set goals that you can reach in order to feel that goal achievement and feel that accomplishment. And that is very easy to do with exercise, and we'll break that down later. Then there's mastery, which is learning new physical skills enhances overall confidence and competence. So when you're exercising, especially if you're first starting out, you're learning all these new skills, and it always feels good to learn something new. You can do this by learning how to do push-ups or pull-ups if you don't know how to do them, or increasing the number of push-ups or pull-ups you can do, increasing your distance with running. There's so many things that you can master when you work out to get this feeling of mastery. You can increase your weights, increase the intensity, increase the amount you go to the gym. It just goes on and on. And then there's body image. So regular exercise improves your body composition and perception, which in turn boost your self-esteem. So I think this is the number one thing that people think about with exercise is I'm going to improve my body composition. I'm going to feel better about myself, which yes, that's so true. And that does play into your mental health as well. But so do all the other things that we talked about. There is a lot that you will see, a lot of benefits you will see when you simply just start to move your body more. And now we're going to go into different types of exercise and their benefits. And so that poll question at the beginning, we asked what type of exercise improves your mood the most. And so the majority of y'all said aerobic activity. And aerobic exercise, I will mention across all research, is the one that shows the most benefit towards your mood and towards your mental health. And that is due to that large increase in your heart rate, all the blood flow to the brain and things of that nature. Aerobic exercise is hard. And so you feel that sense of mastery and accomplishment when you do it. You feel good after. You feel that runner's high if you go running, that release of endorphins. And so I'll go through these 3 points here. These are the 3 main points that aerobic exercise brings to your brain. So number 1, it triggers the release of endorphins, referred to the runner's high, like I just mentioned. It increases your heart rate, improving blood flow to the brain and enhancing cognitive function. And it's proven to reduce symptoms of depression and anxiety by improving your energy levels and regulating your sleep patterns. And I do want to talk on this 3rd point a little bit. With your energy levels, your body goes into a routine. If you go every day and you go to work, you come home, you cook, you relax, and then you go to sleep, your body is going to be used to giving you enough energy to make it through all the activities that it's used to you doing. If you add exercise into your day, especially something like aerobic exercise that gets your heart rate going, over time, your body's going to produce more energy for you to make it throughout your day. And so your energy levels are going to increase, and it's also going to make it easier to go to sleep at night because you're emitting so much energy throughout the day. And then we have strength training. So this is like weightlifting, resistance bands, body weight exercises. This enhances your self-esteem by increasing your physical strength and body image. This is the one where you're probably going to see the most built muscles. Your muscles are going to grow. And so you'll probably see your body image change quicker than the other types in most cases. Builds resilience and self-control, which can help manage stress and reduce feelings of helplessness. And then it helps regulate your cortisol levels, which is that stress hormone over time. And you have mind-body exercises. So this is like yoga, Pilates, meditation-infused fitness programs. So this combines physical movement with mental focus, promoting mindfulness and reducing mental chatter. So this is really good if you have a lot of thoughts constantly, you're always on the go, you're always busy, this is a good type of exercise to slow down, take control of those thoughts going in your mind, kind of clear your head a little bit. Proven to lower stress and anxiety levels by calming the nervous system and promoting a deep relaxation. It improves flexibility, balance, posture, contributing to overall well-being. I believe meditation is really awesome for the people that can do it. It is really hard. It's really hard to get into it because, like I've mentioned multiple times, we are so busy as a society and constantly moving from one thing to the next that those people that can actually sit there and not think about any of those things for however many minutes is very impressive to me. But yeah, it can really help with that mental chatter if you are able to successfully do this. And then you have recreational activities. So this would be adding that team aspect to exercise. So like soccer, basketball, dancing, anything that you would do with other people. So this adds a social element to exercise, reducing loneliness and fostering connection. It encourages laughter and fun, which naturally boosts mood and decreases stress. And it builds a sense of belonging and teamwork in group activities. I also think that this is a great way if you're not prone to go to the gym by yourself, like if you're very social, but you still want to move your body and do some type of exercise, finding a recreational activity can be really great. And it also takes the seriousness out of it because, you're all working together and most of the time it's not that serious. And so I think this is a great way. And it also has its own mental benefits outside of just the exercise because you're feeling like you are part of a community. And this can be things like workout classes as well. Like if your gym provides workout classes with an instructor and you're all doing it together, you can all complain together, you can all laugh together. So it kind of brings that social aspect and just makes it maybe more fun and more entertaining. And then you have low intensity activities. So this can be things like gardening, leisurely walking, or gentle stretching. Even low intensity activities can bring benefits to your mental health, and it can be a great start to get you into the harder things if that is your goal. This can be particularly beneficial for those struggling with severe depression or fatigue. It provides a sense of accomplishment without overwhelming the individual. And it helps break the cycle of inactivity while offering exposure to nature, which has additional mental health benefits. So if you are someone who has been struggling to, motivate yourself to do any type of aerobic activity or anything very strenuous, you can always start with a low intensity activity. And this can be things like it says gardening or like vacuuming your house. Even that counts as exercise and moving your body because that's tough work too. And so I would recommend this to anyone who really wants to get started but doesn't want to be overwhelmed at first. Then you have the direct opposite, high intensity interval training. So this is like sprint intervals, circuit training, CrossFit, very intense activities. So these short bursts of intense activities followed by rest can release high levels of endorphins, leading to mood boost. So since you have so much intense movement packed into a short time frame, that just increases the amount of endorphins that are released at once. And so it's not as drawn out. So you might feel that even more than like the low intensity activities or something that takes a while. This is ideal for people with time constraints who want quick and effective mental health benefits. And this enhances self-discipline and focus, contributing to mental clarity. So like it says in point number 2, if you don't have a lot of time during the day, but you still want to do something that's really impactful and difficult and a challenge, you can always do a HIIT workout. I know they have them at different gyms. They have videos. You can go to YouTube and look up a HIIT workout. But this is something, instead of taking an hour, you can condense this to 15, 30 minutes and still see a lot of results. Okay, and now I have another statistic for you, followed by a question. And I would really appreciate if you could type your answer in the chat. So here's a statistic for you. 25.3% of adults age 18 and older met the physical activity guidelines for both aerobic and muscle strengthening activity. Why do we think this is? Why do we think only 1 in 4 people met? What do we think is the number one reason they gave for not being able to exercise during the day? And again, I would love if you could drop this into the chat so we can talk about it. Just what do you think? What do you think is the number one reason people gave for not being able to exercise throughout the day?
And as we wait, I'll probably say like time. When it comes down to it, just not having enough time, which based off of some of the things that you've been saying would not be a good excuse, because you can do things anywhere. And as we watch the comments come in, Emily, a lot of them were constraints, not enough time, too busy. So it's all in that general idea.
Yeah, so most of them I see are too busy, work constraints, time, not enough time. That's been the majority. And so that was the answer through research that most people gave, was that they did not have enough time and they were busy, which I have mentioned, we are busier than ever as a society. And so I want to give some tips on how to incorporate exercise into a busy schedule. And yeah, I see the other points as well, and those are all valid too, and I agree with them as well. But this was the number one reason that people gave for why they did not exercise. So a tip that I would give for everyone, my number one tip would be to schedule it in. Treat your workouts like any other appointment. Block out time in your calendar and stick to it. If you treat your workout like an appointment, like I have to do it, then you're going to be more likely to do it and more likely to form a habit doing it. A lot of times, people will say, I'll go to the gym if I have time. And then it ends up not happening because, it's really hard when you have all these things going on. But if instead you reverse that frame of mindset and you said, I'm going to work out for 15 minutes and then I'm going to do whatever I need to get done. Just flipping that mindset in your brain can do so much. Make it a habit. So the more you make exercise a part of your routine, the easier it will become to incorporate into your busy schedule. So at first, let's say you do not exercise at all, and it's going to feel like it's really hard at first. It's always hard to start a new habit. It's going to feel very time consuming. But after you've stuck with it and you've made yourself go day in and day out, then it's just going to be a normal part of your routine. And that's what your body's going to expect. That's what your brain's going to expect. And you're actually going to start feeling weird if you don't go. And you're going to want to go. So making it a habit is so important. Okay, and then we have prepare the night before. Lay out your workout clothes and pack your gym bag. Also, you could put it in your car. I go work out after work. I go immediately after work, even though, sometimes I'm so tired. But then I think about I've already spent energy packing my workout clothes in my gym bag and putting it in my car. Like, they're already in my car, so I might as well go. So that's just another way to motivate you to go. Because if you've already spent your time and spent your energy preparing for it, then you're going to be less likely to skip out on it. Walking before work. This is a simple one. I know it's freezing right now, so it's kind of difficult. But whenever weather permits, give yourself extra time in the morning to go for a quick walk. And this doesn't have to be a whole 30 minutes or 45 minutes. Even if it's just 5 minutes at first or 10 minutes at first, just walking around the block, even if it's just a couple times, you're going to feel accomplished already. You're going to start your day feeling accomplished. You're going to feel good going into the day, like you did something to benefit you. And so I would definitely recommend that. And I do this when weather permits, and I literally only go for 10 to 15 minutes because I'm not an early riser. And so it's really hard for me to get up early. But even that 10 to 15 minutes, I just feel so much better about my day. And like I've already gotten some exercise in, already got my steps in. And so I would definitely recommend this one for an easy start. And then we've mentioned HIIT training, but I'd like to mention it again. You can always try HIIT training, especially if you're looking for something kind of challenging. I wouldn't say to start out with this. I would say this is for someone who wants a challenge but doesn't have much time. So these are short and intense, and it makes them ideal for busy schedules because you can pack so much into a little bit of time. And yeah, there's so many ways to find HIIT workouts, like I mentioned, on YouTube, online, at a gym, so different things like that. And then at-home workouts. At-home workouts take away the time needed to drive anywhere, and so it doesn't take up as much time. I know traffic is crazy around Birmingham, and so that could be a reason people don't want to go because they spent 45 minutes to an hour just driving home. They don't want to go to the gym. And so if you turn these workouts into at home, then you only really need like 30 minutes, or 15, depending on what level you're at, but you don't have to add that commute to it. And that just takes more time for that. And again, like I've mentioned, there's YouTube videos. You can just have some dumbbells at home. You don't even need to have any equipment to do an at-home workout. You can do it anywhere. And you can choose how long you do it, what level. So it's very flexible, and I think it helps with the time constraints. And then incorporate movement into your day. So every hour, especially if you have a desk job, make it a point to get up and walk around or stretch. Go walking on your lunch break. If you have an hour lunch break, eat for the first 30 minutes and go walk around for the last 30 minutes, or even if it's a 30-minute lunch break, 15 and 15. You can take the stairs, and, you might be like, well, I work on the 12th floor. I'm not going to take the stairs. I'd rather take the elevator. But you can always, take the elevator to the 10th floor and then walk up the stairs 2 levels. You can always incorporate it just a little bit. And even that small change can make a big difference. And then stretch at your desk. If you are not able to get up, you have a very busy day, but you still want to move your body, you can always do one of these. You can always stretch your back. You can always twist like this, reach down, touch your toes, without even having to get up. And so that can be very beneficial as well. And then lastly, start small. Start small and gradually increase the intensity and duration of your workouts as you become more fit. You don't want to set a goal. If you don't go to the gym at all, you don't want to get a gym membership and then say, I'm going to go every single day before work. And you hate waking up in the morning anyways. And every single day is super hard to accomplish. And so you're not going to feel that sense of accomplishment, most likely, because you probably can't stick by that. That's a really intense goal. And so I would say start out small. Work out 1 day a week if you don't work out at all. Start with that and see how that goes. And that's going to be so much easier to accomplish. And so then once you feel that sense of accomplishment, you'll probably start adding a little bit more. And then also you don't have to start out with, I'm going to go for an hour every single day, because that's a lot of time. And like we said, we have lack of time. And so you can always start with, even if it's 15 minutes or 30 minutes, anything extra that you do, more than what you're doing now is going to be beneficial, and you will see results from that. And then another thing I would recommend is if you're starting out, I used to do this, is I would say, I'm going to go to the gym on specific days. Like I'm going to go every Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. But then, something could pop up on that Monday and I'm not able to go. And so I think it's important to say, I'm going to go 2 times a week, and it could be any day. It could even be on the weekend. And that's going to help you meet those goals and feel accomplished, and less likely to miss out on those goals. So I would say start as small as possible. Start with those small achievements, and you'll feel proud of yourself, and you'll want to continue increasing that goal as you go. So if you are interested in learning more about this topic, I would recommend to check out these resources. They really helped me form this presentation. So we have on the left, the Exercise Happiness Paradox. It's a TED Talk by Chris Wharton. And that's where I got that scenario I gave y'all at the beginning about that little pill you could take every day that had all those benefits. It's like a 15-minute long TED Talk, and he goes more in depth than I did about what happens in your brain. He talks a lot about self-esteem and everything like that. And so it was really interesting. And so if you are interested at all in this topic, I would recommend watching that. And then on your right, you have the Move Your Mental Health report. So this was 3 decades of evidence linking exercise to mental health. And so it was like over 80 pages, and it went into depth about all the studies. That statistic at the beginning where it was over 1,000 studies talked about the relation between exercise and mental health. That was from this. And so it goes into the different types of exercise and their benefits and all that. So if reading is more your thing, I would say to look into this. And so that is all I have today for the presentation. I have there's a little extra time in your hour. So if we finish early, you can always go for a walk and use that time to do that. But if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. And then I also put the UAB Wellness email if you have a question after the presentation. And our website also has a ton of resources about health and mental health. You can always check that out as well.
Fantastic information. And if anybody does have a question, go ahead, drop it in the chat. I'll get things going just with some general questions. So is there an exercise or type of exercise that you feel works best? Or is it just a matter of getting out there and doing it, not being lazy, finding the time?
I would say with research, it's the aerobic exercise has the most effects on your mental health just because of that elevation in the heart rate. But I would say to look for what works for you. So I wouldn't start with super intense exercises if you aren't used to really getting out and doing it. I would start with those low intensity, maybe those mind body exercises, but it really depends on what you're looking for. I would say the mind body is really good for, clearing up that mental chatter. So they all have different benefits. They all have benefits. And so I don't think you could go wrong with any of them.
Is there a meditation rule of thumb? You brought up meditation, in terms of length, location, or again, just do it.
Could you repeat that question? I'm sorry.
Is there a rule of thumb when it comes to meditation? Length, location, anything like that?
There is a lot of science saying certain minutes. I think it's like 30 minutes has the most profound, but if you're new into meditation, that's going to be impossible to do. You have to work yourself up to that. And I would say any amount of meditation is very beneficial. I have tried to get into it, and the most that I was able to do at the start was like 5 minutes. It's very, very challenging because, like I said, our minds are go, go, go all the time. But you can do it anywhere as long as you're in a quiet environment. The ones that are really, really good at meditating, they can do it anywhere. But I wouldn't recommend that to someone who's just starting out.
So a couple of questions that have come through. How do you feel about stand-up desks. Do you think that, would count towards fitness time?
I think that would count towards fitness time for sure. Your heart is elevated when you stand up, just by standing there, and your body's elongated. And so I feel like that has its own benefits. So yeah, I would definitely count that towards your fitness time. I will say that it is more beneficial to do something that really gets your heart racing, but I do believe those are way better than desk where you sit down all the time, better for your body, and alignment and all of that.
What's your recommendation for people with chronic illness or disabilities? Do you have anything for them?
So I probably would have to research that more, and it depends on the specific chronic illness or things like that. I know there's a lot of ways to adjust to where you can have some type of physical movement despite those disabilities or disorders or anything like that. But it really just depends on what the chronic disability is or disorder. And that would be something that I would have to further research.
And if our audience does have any questions, go ahead and toss them in the chat. We still have plenty of time. If not, we will get you out there and exercising as soon as we can after this. And Mary Jo says, loves your quote, something to benefit you. And I think that's very important because each person is different. That's definitely a motivator, she says. Another question is, are there any local programs that you may know for exercising?
I know there's a ton of gyms in Birmingham. There's a ton of parks as well that do a lot of programs. I think it's Red Mountain Park does, I might be wrong on that, but they do, they have like a club for trail walking and stuff like that. And they meet, and I know the Birmingham City Park, underneath that bridge, they do a lot of things together. They have exercise classes under there. And so there's a lot of things out there if you just research. Birmingham is a pretty active city, I would say, and there's always group workout classes and different things happening pertaining to activity. And so I would recommend just researching and finding what works best for you and the amount of time you have.
Fantastic information. And with that, we will give you part of your day back. Emily, thank you so much for joining us today and being with us.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
You are so welcome. And just a reminder, today's webinar will be uploaded onto our website, hopefully later on today. If not, first thing tomorrow. Once it's ready, live attendees will get an email with the link. We'd love for our audience to come back for these upcoming webinars. The new year begins on January 9th with Taking Charge of Your Career, Improving Confidence. During this collaboration with Organizational and Learning Development, we'll explore imposter syndrome and what you can do about it. Then on January 21st, our popular The Science of series returns with The Science of Oral Health and How Bad Breath Could Tell You Something About Your Overall Health with Dr. Nika Gurs. Get tips for preventing oral health and discover how cavities and gum disease can lead to foul-smelling breath. On February 5th, we will welcome Dr. Alan Gorman back for Networking Without Borders, Building Your Network in a Remote World. During this presentation, we'll learn about the unique challenges and opportunities digital settings provide. And on February 12th, we'll host The Science of Insomnia, where Dr. Christina Parker will challenge the notion that sleep's primary function is merely to cure sleepiness. You can register for these and plenty more at alumni.uab.edu/events. And join us for an in-person event next week for Blazer Holiday Bingo. Grab your ugliest Christmas sweater and get ready for a night of fun at the Alumni House. Play 10 games of bingo, including the ultimate blackout game for the grand prize. Registration includes 6 boards, a dauber, and food. It's only $25. Register at alumni.uab.edu/bingo. As we close, I'd love for you to let us know how we're doing. The QR code on your screen will take you to a very short survey. Share your thoughts on today's webinar and let us know what you'd like to see in the future. Once again, thank you so much for joining us. And I'm going to go ahead and get that back up. And there we go. Once again, thank you so much for joining us. And as always, go Blazers.